Let's get this over with. Can't believe I'm about to fucking do this. Alright, let's go. Okay, alright. Okay. Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clayton Zoka, and welcome to another My Thoughts On. Oh, finally, I literally just finished watching Trolls World Tour, the new DreamWorks animated film, and it's the sequel to the 2016 animated hit Trolls. And just before I get into World Tour, I should quickly clarify what I thought of the first Trolls. I didn't like it that much. I mean, yeah, it's not a film that's made for me. It's boring, not that funny, and quite unoriginal too. The animation and the voice acting, I think, is probably the thing that I like. Oh, and the music too, but it's just eye candy. And so you can tell I was kind of dreaded when they announced a sequel. I mean, who wanted a sequel to Trolls, except for kids and fans? I mean, yeah, there are fans of the film. Can you believe it? Well, since it came out on digital, because of a certain incident with a certain virus, I actually rented the film. I mean, it was quite expensive, but I mean, I have to talk about it. So I just finished it just like a few seconds ago, so I'm going to talk about it now. So, what is Trolls World Tour about? Now, stop me if you heard this before, because the plot, or even more the concept, sounds similar. Right, there is this. Right, so there are actually more than one genre of music. The trolls that we know are pop. There's country, there's rock, there's classical, there's country, there's there's a dubstep, then there's different genres of music, and one of them is rock. But this leader, or the queen, named Queen Bob, voiced by Rachel Bloom, wants to take over the entire troll kingdom with rock. But how does she need to do that? She needs all six strings, one from country, classical, pop. I'm losing my brain here. Funk, as well, I think, and dubstep. She needs all of these strings to put on her guitar in order to take over the entire kingdom. And with Poppy and Branch, with Kendrick and Timberlake reprising their roles, along with Biggie, voiced by James Corden, they have to go on this quest to stop her from taking over these worlds, and for Poppy to show that she can be a good queen. While that's going on, Cooper, voiced by Ron Funches, goes out of the Troll Kingdom, the pop Troll Kingdom, to find his own kind. The concept sounds like something from Infinity War. Think about it. A guy is looking for six elements, or sorry, a person's looking for six elements, and this person needs it all together in order to take control of the world. This is DreamWorks' version of Infinity War. Not a good one, but it's kind of strange. I mean, in this case, it's music strings instead of Infinity Stones. So, have they improved on anything since the first film? Yes and no. Positives. First off, I think the concept is not a bad idea. I like the concept of there's more than one world of music. I think the idea is clever, and I also like the allegory of one genre is always taking over and always overshadowing other genres like pop, like rap and rock. like nowadays, these sorts of music can also be everywhere, and it can overshadow the really damn good music. So I like the idea, and I like how its allegory and message is very well handled. So in a way, I think the team at DreamWorks tried a little harder with this, surprisingly. And the message, from what I remember, is you can't change music. The music is from inside of you, which I mean, hey, I didn't say everything in the film was improved. I said about 50, maybe 60%. The rest, it remains the same. The comedy is better. I think there are some funny moments and some funny lines, thanks to some good voice acting, which I'll get to in a bit. There are some funny gags here and there. There's some good, fast humour. So it has a few decent things that makes it not great, but at least better handled. But unfortunately, with a great concept, lies in a poor story. I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, I know this is made for like very, very young children, but the plot is still another weak thing, just like the first film. You know what's going to happen. They're going to go find the Queen, and everyone is going to be reunited. And I'm sorry, I know that's kind of a spoiler, but what do you expect from Trolls World Tour? Even the first few minutes, you know exactly what's going to happen. And while that is a weakness, the film's not really trying to be Pixar. It's just trying to have fun. And it does. And I actually got more into this film than I did with the first Trolls. First Trolls, I really couldn't. It was really hard to get into. This film, while it did have its fair share of annoyance and predictable moments, I actually did kind of enjoy it for how silly it is. With the new worlds and new characters, it actually makes it more watchable. Not pleasant or amazing, but watchable. And since Mike Mitchell isn't part of the directing, it's actually Walt Durham who co-directed the first film. It shows that he does really like the property of Trolls. This film also has some really strange and really bizarre scenes that are quite funny. I never thought I'd say this, but this film's actually better executed in terms of concept, comedy, not so much story, but everything in the film feels like I'm watching a different film, even though it's the same film that I paid to see. So at least the team at DreamWorks tried a little harder. Yeah, it's still predictable, it's still childish, it's not that funny that much. It's cliched. The message can sometimes be very. It can sometimes hit you on the head too much with how obvious it is, but you know, the concept's actually kind of clever and it actually is relevant. And they even. I don't know, is it just me or do they kind of have this theme? Alright, that's okay. They say this word throughout the entire film. That's kind of a coincidence since we're in lockdown. If you've seen the film, then you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so I mean, I guess good work, DreamWorks, but at the same time, it still just feels like a Trolls movie with its story, very basic and very predictable. But I'll give them credit that they did try a little harder. Animation. Well, if there's one thing that still remains the same, is that the animation is still great. I'd probably say better. First off, they actually have more fun with the colours and more fun with these new characters. The worlds that they go to, like rock, country, classical, they all look creative, they all look very stylish and colourful. All these new characters have great designs, especially like this little flute from the classical. The rock trolls look great. The country trolls. You could tell, again, just like the first film, the animators were having so much fun with these designs. And I mean, the first Trolls was visually did look great, but it did look a bit distracting once in a while. Here, I actually did kind of get used to it. Although at times it can get a little bit of an eyesore, but not at a point where I was like, oh, I need to turn it off. It's just more like okay, that's a bit too bright. Maybe you should tone it down a little bit. So, and even, and also the film also has some great visual gags that are unpredictable and pretty funny. That's all I've got to say, really. The animation still remains a colourful and pleasant world. Actually, I do have a little issue. Some of the new characters' designs, I know they're supposed to be, weird and cartoony, but some of them look strange. Like, I don't know. I think, like, the funk group that Cooper finds looks strange. A lot of these characters have great designs, but some of them look strange. Even the country trolls have this pretty unique design of when they have like four legs like horses, which is kind of funny, but again, it is trolls, it's supposed to be strange and weird, but anyways, the animation is still great. Characters and acting. Okay, so they've got even more characters in this film, and I gotta admit, I like the new characters better than the old ones. Poppy is still just the same optimistic main character. I still don't like her that much, and here I kind of dislike her a bit more. Even they kind of butchered Branch, who I kind of enjoyed in the first film. Here, he kind of doesn't do that much, and he has this whole thing where he loves Princess Poppy, which comes out of nowhere and leads to something that's pointless and doesn't... I don't know. It's just stupid. Big E has a bigger role in this film, and he even doesn't do that much. I mean, throughout the first, 40 minutes, he's just kind of with Branch and Poppy, and then he just goes. And even in the third act, where he should help, he doesn't even do much. Same with Guy Diamond. He's just there. The twins are there, Smidge is there. Even Cloud Guy, who is still very, he's still quite funny, but not in the film for long. And even Cooper, who I kind of found a bit funny, his point in the film is just to find people like his kind. And while that makes his screen time kind of pointless, at least at least he gets to experience what it's like to be with other trolls like himself, which is cool. And I think, Cooper's a okay-ish character. The rest of the trolls I barely care about. What about the new characters? I think they're kind of hit and miss. The ones I like are Delta Dawn, voiced by Kelly Clarkson from Ugly Dolls. I thought she was pretty good. Probably my favourite has to be Hickory, voiced by Sam Rockwell, and I thought he was actually probably the best character in the film. And you got the main villain, obviously, Queen Barb, voiced by Rachel Bloom, and I thought she was quite entertaining and pretty funny. You got King Trollex, king of dubstep, or I keep forgetting what his genre is. I know it's not rap. I think it is dubstep, isn't it? It must be. You got Trolls Art, who's the leader of Classical. You've also got Chaz, who's voiced by Jamie Dornan from 50 Shades of Grey. And he's barely in this as well. He's the one, I believe he's the king of jazz? Also, there's a subplot where all these different smaller genres have to go out and capture Queen Poppy, which is quite funny because you've got jazz, you've got yodeling, which is hilarious. You've got K-pop, you've got, I think you've got reggae in there as well. And these genres are not. I mean, you don't hear these genres that often, and that's quite funny. I like how they're kind of making fun of today's music, which is, I don't know, kind of fitting, I suppose. Crap, I'm trying to think who else. Oh yeah, there's Tiny Diamond. Oh, if you want to know about him, he's been advertised everywhere for this film. And he's only in the film for 10 minutes. He's not even in the film for that long, so what's the point? He's voiced by Kenan Thompson. Why is he in lots of animated films? That's weird. He doesn't really do much. He's okay, I guess. but he's just kind of there for a joke here and there, which I'll admit he's not that funny or memorable. Now the characters, there's a good chunk I like. Sure, they're not amazing, but they were enjoyable. The rest I kind of forgot about, don't even care about. I can say this: the voice acting I think is better than the first film. Anna Kendrick, who I think is a great actress, I think she's great in this film. Justin Timberlake is very good. Sam Rockwell's performance in this film is probably my favourite. There's also a scene where his accent kind of changes. I won't give too much away. Similar to Jojo Rabbit, the character he played. When you see the film, you know what I mean. And when I first heard that, I was like, yep, I'm glad you're acknowledging Jojo Rabbit. That's great. Rachel Bloom's great as always. James Corden is okay as always. I didn't think he was too bad here. Kenan Thompson was fine as Tiny Diamond. All the voice acting, I think, for the most part, is pretty good. Some of it is Some of it's kind of wasted. Like Jamie Dornan, I wanted to hear more of him, but he only says like a few lines and that's it. I'm trying to think who else. Ozzy Osbourne's in this film as King Thrash. He's barely in this as well. Also, is Ozzy Osbourne still a thing? I mean, I know he's still alive, but you don't really hear that much of him, do you? The last animated film he was in was Sherlock Gnomes. So what is it with him in these really unnecessary animated films? I don't know. Anyways, the characters are not particularly great. Some of them stand out as pretty entertaining and memorable. But since the voice acting does save them from being completely forgettable, it's not really enough to say that the characters are great. The rest I can kind of say are just, I guess, passable, but just not interesting. The old characters from the first film don't really change that much, and I didn't care about them. A few, on an occasion. The new characters I thought were way more interesting, even if a few were kind of eh. On a side note, Theodore Sharpio's score, just like Spies in Disguise, is excellent. Still full of style, still great. Even the songs I thought were kind of better. It's more experimental, it's more great, and it kind of helps whatever style of music you like, you can pretty much get into these different songs, like country, classical, pop, funk, rock. I like all these songs. My favourite will probably have to be The Other Side, but maybe Just Sing in the third act. Which, by the way, the third act is actually the best part of this entire film. It actually really shows that it actually all comes together when it comes to its music. You know, I'm not going to lie, this film was, I don't know, it was kind of better than the first film. I was expecting this to be worse, but in a way, it wasn't. Okay, it's not good. It's far from like one of the best DreamWorks films, and heck, it's not even like one of the worst DreamWorks films. I still think it's okay, maybe decent, but still not all that memorable. Trolls World Tour may not be terrible or good, but at least it tried harder, a little harder than the first film. The comedy was handled much better. The story, while poorly executed, at least was somewhat interesting. The concept's quite clever and the allegory is great. The animation gets better and better, even if it does give you a bit of an eyesore. The new characters are memorable and have personality. The old characters, on a few exceptions, don't do anything that stands out. They're just kind of bland and basic. The voice acting is good. I think it's pretty good. The songs are better too. A lot of things are better, but a few things remain the same. So, I don't recommend you... I mean, if your kids really want to watch this in isolation, I would say just wait for it to come out on DVD, wait for a discount or something. I mean, personally for me, I did I did kind of like it, but not really. 15.99 to rent it, not worth it. Just just wait until it comes out on DVD when isolation is over, you know. But if they want to see it, go for it. Just my suggestion. If you like the first Trolls, you'll like this one. If you don't, you might like it, but you might not. I'm gonna give it a 6.1 out of 10. It's not good. I didn't expect it to be great, but I didn't really expect it to be worse. It's okay. Kind of decent, but definitely not a film. It's not really a film I'd watch again, but I'm kind of glad I watched it. But again, it's not good, but it's semi-decent. Kind of like Angry Birds 2, only I actually like that film a little bit more. Oh, Trolls World Tour, wow. You know, it was kind of funny because it felt like I was in the cinema, even though I was actually watching it in my room. I don't know. Do you think I should watch some more films on demand? There's like Invisible Man, The Hunt, Emma, Bloodshot, and I think there's a few others. What do you think? I am planning to maybe review Invisible Man. Not sure about the rest, but yeah. If you have watched Trolls World Tour, what do you think about it? Do you think it's good, bad, decent? Do you want to see it? Let me know below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. And until next time, please don't make a third Trolls. Please don't. Two's enough, at least in my opinion.